Don't marry him tomorrow. Drive to the old boathouse before sunrise. If you're even 10 minutes late, you'll spend the rest of your life paying for someone else's crime. Those were the words that yanked me awake. Not an alarm, not a phone call. A voice, clear, calm. Familiar. I sat upright in bed, breathing so hard my chest burned. My room was silent except for the rain tapping against the windows of my apartment in Portland, Maine. The digital clock on my nightstand read 4:18 a.m. Tomorrow wasn't just another day. In less than 8 hours, I was supposed to marry the man I'd loved for nearly 4 years. For several seconds, I stared into the darkness, trying to convince myself it had only been another nightmare. Then I smelled lavender. My grandmother, Margaret, had always carried the scent of fresh lavender wherever she went. She had been gone for almost 3 years, yet the fragrance lingered in my bedroom. I slowly turned toward the empty rocking chair beside the window. Nobody was there. The chair was still gently moving. A chill crawled up my spine. My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 31 years old. I work as a financial analyst, and my entire life has been built around facts, numbers, and logic. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe dreams predict the future. But I did believe my grandmother. When she was alive, she had an uncanny ability to read people. She had warned my cousin about an investment scam months before it collapsed. She had quietly told my aunt not to marry a man everyone adored. 2 years later, he disappeared with her savings. Grandma never explained how she knew. She simply said, "Character always leaks through the cracks." Before she passed away, she made me promise something. If your instincts ever become louder than your logic, don't ignore them. I had almost forgotten those words. Until that morning, the dream had felt painfully real. She wasn't smiling. She looked terrified. She grabbed both of my shoulders and whispered, "They're running out of time. Go to the boathouse before sunrise." Nothing else. No explanation. No names. Only fear in her eyes. I checked my phone. 3 unread messages waited from my fiancé. "Ryan, can't wait to marry you today." Another message. "Love you more than anything." The last one arrived only 20 minutes earlier. "I'll probably be asleep." Big day tomorrow. According to everyone, Ryan was spending the night at his older brother's lake cabin with his groomsmen. So why did my dream tell me to drive somewhere completely different? I threw off the blanket. "This is ridiculous," I whispered. Then I walked to my closet. My wedding dress hung inside its garment bag. Months of planning, thousands of dollars, every flower. Every guest, every reservation, everything depended on today. One irrational decision could destroy it all. I reached for the zipper. Instead, I grabbed a gray sweatshirt. 20 minutes later, my SUV rolled onto the nearly empty highway. Rain covered the windshield, while darkness swallowed the road ahead. The old Harbor Point boathouse sat nearly 40 minutes outside town, beside an abandoned marina. Ryan's family owned the surrounding land years ago before selling most of it. Nobody used the building anymore. At least, that's what I'd always been told. The closer I drove, the heavier the rain became. By the time I reached Harbor Point, dawn was still hiding below the horizon. Everything looked abandoned. Broken docks, rusted chains, weathered wooden posts leaning toward the water. I almost laughed at myself. Then headlights flashed between the trees. A black Range Rover slowly disappeared behind the boathouse. I knew that vehicle. Ryan's mother, Victoria Hale, drove it everywhere. Why would she be here before sunrise? My pulse quickened. I parked nearly 200 yards away and killed the engine. The rain muffled every sound as I walked toward the building. Halfway there, another car pulled in. A silver Lexus. I recognized that one too. Ryan, my stomach tightened. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near this place. The boathouse door stood slightly open. Warm light spilled across the wet wooden deck. Someone was inside. I slipped behind a stack of old fishing crates and listened. Voices. 3 people, Ryan, Victoria, and a man I had never heard before. "She signs after the ceremony." The unfamiliar man spoke first. "The transfer becomes automatic." Victoria answered immediately. "It has to happen before Monday morning." Ryan sounded nervous. "What if she asks questions?" A short silence. Then Victoria laughed. "Claire trusts you. She's been planning this wedding for over a year." My heart skipped. The man shuffled papers. The charitable foundation, the investment portfolio, the vacation property, everything becomes available once the marriage certificate is filed. Foundation, portfolio, vacation property. None of those belonged to Ryan. They belonged to me. After my grandfather died, he left everything inside a protected family estate. The assets couldn't be sold recklessly. My grandmother had insisted every document include strict safeguards. Only I could authorize major financial decisions, or so I believed. The stranger continued. The revised authorization forms are ready. Ryan hesitated. And if she refuses? Victoria's voice became ice cold. She won't. I moved closer until I could finally see inside through a crack in the wall. A folding table stood beneath bright work lights, blueprint tubes, legal folders, several thick binders. Ryan stood with both hands in his pockets. His mother leaned over a stack of contracts. Across from them sat a sharply dressed attorney. He slid one document toward Ryan. Practice the explanation again. Ryan picked up the papers. When the reception ends, I'll tell Claire these are updated ownership records for the lake house. She'll sign because she'll think we're combining insurance policies. The attorney nodded. And the second signature, Ryan swallowed. I'll tell her it's required before the honeymoon. Victoria smiled. Perfect. I felt physically sick, not because they wanted my money, because they had rehearsed every lie, every smile. Every embrace, every promise. Nothing about the last 4 years suddenly felt real anymore. Then the attorney opened another folder. I still think we should discuss the insurance issue. Ryan looked uncomfortable. Victoria answered instead. That's already handled. What if she discovers she's listed as the primary guarantor? My breathing stopped. Primary guarantor, for what? Victoria calmly replied, by then it won't matter. Ryan looked away. The attorney sighed. You're asking her to unknowingly assume responsibility for nearly $6 million in corporate debt. The room fell silent. Even the rain suddenly seemed quieter. $6 million. Not only were they trying to seize my family's assets, they planned to leave me responsible for their collapsing business empire after everything fell apart. My fingers instinctively reached for my phone. Without making a sound, I started recording every word. Inside the boathouse, Ryan took a deep breath. I just wish this could have happened differently. Victoria stared directly at him. It couldn't. Then she added the sentence that shattered every remaining piece of trust I still had. People like Claire don't fall in love with men like you by accident. We spent 3 years making sure she believed every single moment was destiny. I nearly dropped my phone. I didn't think. I acted. Without making a sound, I stepped back from the crack in the wall, opened my phone's camera, and quietly switched from recording audio to video. Then I edged closer, angling the lens through the narrow opening. Every contract, every signature page, every spreadsheet, every face around that table, I captured them all. The attorney pointed to a page marked with bold yellow tabs. If she signs these after the ceremony, the trust assets become collateral for Hale Development's outstanding obligations. Once the lenders activate the cross-default clause, her estate becomes exposed. Ryan stared at the paperwork without saying a word. Victoria folded her arms. Then let's stop wasting time. I had heard enough. Instead of slipping away unnoticed, I pushed the old wooden door open. The loud creak echoed through the entire boathouse. 3 heads snapped toward me. Ryan's face instantly lost every trace of color. Claire, Victoria's confident smile vanished. What are you doing here? The attorney slowly stood, instinctively gathering the documents into a stack. I walked inside without answering. My footsteps echoed across the weathered floor until I stopped beside the table. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. Finally, Ryan forced an awkward smile. Baby, you scared us. No, I replied calmly. I think I'm the one who should be scared. His smile disappeared. Victoria recovered first. This is a private legal meeting. It certainly looks that way. I looked directly at the attorney. I assume you're licensed. He hesitated. Yes, good. I held up my phone. Because everything you've discussed for the last 12 minutes has been recorded. Silence. Complete silence. Ryan's breathing became uneven. Victoria's expression hardened. You've misunderstood. I haven't misunderstood anything. I picked up one of the contracts. My eyes moved across the pages. There it was, my name, my estate, my family's charitable foundation. Even forged initials on several draft pages. I slowly placed the papers back on the table. You planned every detail. Ryan stepped closer. Claire, please let me explain. Go ahead. It isn't what you think. I almost laughed. Really, because it sounds exactly like financial fraud. Victoria slammed her hand on the table. You have no idea how business works. No, I looked her straight in the eyes, but I know exactly how crime works. The attorney quietly picked up his briefcase. I believe this meeting is over. Not yet. I raised my phone again. I've already uploaded every photo and recording to cloud storage. That was only partly true. The upload had started. It wasn't finished, but they didn't know that. Victoria froze. Ryan whispered, "You called the police." Not yet. His shoulders relaxed for a split second. First, I said quietly, I called my attorney. That confidence disappeared again. My lawyer already has access to everything if anything happens to me or these files. The attorney slowly removed his glasses. He looked at Victoria. I specifically asked whether the beneficiary understood these agreements. Victoria didn't answer. He turned toward Ryan. You told me she had independent legal representation. Ryan lowered his head. You lied. The attorney closed his briefcase. I am leaving. Without another word, he walked out of the boathouse. Ryan reached toward him. Wait, the attorney never looked back. Victoria spun around furiously. You idiot. She wasn't talking to me. She was talking to her own son. Ryan looked completely defeated. I told you we should have stopped. Victoria glared at him. We were one signature away. No, I interrupted. You were one prison sentence away. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I really did love you. I shook my head slowly. No, you loved what you thought I could pay for. He fell silent. For the first time in 4 years, I saw the real Ryan, not confident, not charming. Just frightened, I turned and walked toward the exit. Behind me, Victoria shouted, If you leave now, you'll regret it. I stopped at the doorway. Without looking back, I answered, I already regret not seeing who you really were. Then I walked into the cold morning air. By 8 o'clock, every vendor involved in the wedding had received the same message. The ceremony has been cancelled due to confirmed fraud. Thank you for respecting my privacy. An hour later, I met my attorney. Together, we filed emergency fraud reports. The recordings were turned over to investigators. Every financial institution connected to my family's estate was notified. Every account was secured before anyone could touch a single dollar. The investigation moved far faster than I expected. The attorney who had attended the meeting fully cooperated after realizing he had been misled. Bank records exposed years of hidden debt, fake financial statements, undisclosed loans, and multiple forged documents. Within weeks, lenders froze Hale Development's remaining assets. Civil lawsuits followed, and then criminal charges. Ryan eventually accepted a plea agreement, while Victoria chose to fight every allegation and lost. Their carefully crafted image disappeared almost overnight, as people who had once admired them came to understand the truth. Their luxury lifestyle had been financed with deception. 8 months later, I stood on the balcony of a renovated lighthouse overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, not because I needed to escape, but because I had finally built the life I actually wanted. Part of my inheritance funded a nonprofit organization that helped victims of financial exploitation receive legal guidance free of charge. Watching people reclaim control over their lives became more meaningful than any wedding ever could have been. Sometimes people ask whether I regret canceling everything just hours before the ceremony. My answer is always the same. I didn't lose a husband. I escaped a lifetime of lies. Every now and then, when the ocean breeze carries the faint scent of lavender, I smile. Whether that dream came from my grandmother or from the part of me that finally chose to trust its own instincts, I'll probably never know. But I do know this. The greatest gift anyone can receive isn't perfect love. It's discovering the truth before it's too late.